Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 23rd of February 2020. And yesterday we published our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 21st of February. Now, if you haven't already listened to it, we've placed a link in the description box below. We have also placed links to both our gold and silver 2020 forecasts and our two new channels, Richard and Greg and Trump for President 2020, where we discuss matters on these channels which are not wholly attributable to precious metals. Now today we're going to cover an interesting article published by Bloomberg concerning the state of China's businesses and a potentially developing banking crisis. China has perhaps certainly, during my professional lifetime, been the economic star of the world, of industry and economics. As a young banker and financial advisor, I remember recommending to clients that for potential long-term growth, China was the country to invest in, with India being a close second. Until now, to be fair, that advice has held good and strong. However, there are clouds over the horizon, which are at present grey, but are becoming much darker. Businesses in China are under threat, and the banks are struggling to deal with what could prove to be an economic avalanche. Originally hit by US tariffs, and now, more recently, by the coronavirus, the Chinese economy appears to be in a tailspin, with a majority of smaller businesses unlikely to survive another 6 months unless things improve. Now, whilst this may sound great to those of us in the West, and America in particular, removing a major competitor, short-term, this could be disastrous, as China is also a substantial consumer and manufacturer of Western products and services, and such a speedy negative disruption will undoubtedly affect us all. So let's take a brief look at this Bloomberg article. Bloomberg article, February 23rd, 12 o'clock GMT. Millions of Chinese firms face collapse if banks don't act fast. Brigitte, a director at one of China's largest car dealers, is running out of options. Her firm's 100 outlets have been closed for about a month because of the coronavirus. Cash reserves are dwindling, and banks are reluctant to extend deadlines on billions of yuan in debt coming due over the next few months. There are also other creditors to think about. Quote, "If we can't pay back the bonds, it will be very, very bad," unquote, said Brigitte, whose company has 10,000 employees and sells mid to high-end car brands such as BMWs. She asked that only her first name be used and that her firm not be identified because she isn't authorized to speak to the press. With much of China's economy still idled, as authorities try to contain an epidemic that has infected more than 75,000 people, millions of companies across the country are in a race against the clock to stay afloat. A survey of small and medium-sized Chinese companies conducted this month showed that a third of respondents only had enough cash to cover fixed expenses for a month, with another third running out within 2 months. While China's government has cut interest rates, ordered banks to boost lending, and loosened credit criteria for companies to restart operations, many of the nation's private businesses say they've been unable to access the funding they need to meet upcoming deadlines for debt and salary payments. Without more financial support or a sudden rebound in China's economy, some may have to shut for good. Quote, "If China fails to contain the virus in the first quarter, I expect a vast number of small businesses would go under," unquote, said LV Shangshun, an analyst at Beijing Zhongge Yingtai Management Consultant Company. Fighting for survival, most small and medium-sized firms say they will run out of cash in months. So despite, in fact, looking at this chart on the screen, you can see over 30% 1 month, just over 30% 2 months, 20% 3 months, and then the figure goes down 4, 5 and 6. Only 10% reckon they can last 6 months. Despite accounting for 60% of the economy and 80% of jobs in China, private businesses have long struggled to tap funding to help them expand during booms and survive crises. Support from China's banking giants in response to the outbreak has so far been piecemeal, mostly earmarked for directly combating the virus. Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Limited, the nation's largest lender, has ordered relief to about 5% of its small business clients. In an emailed response to questions from Bloomberg News, ICBC said it has allocated 5.4 billion yuan, or $770 million, to help companies fight the virus. Quote, "We approve qualified small businesses loan applications as soon as they arrive," unquote, the bank said. As a group, Chinese banks had offered about 254 billion yuan in loans relating to the containment efforts as of February the 9th, according to the Banking Industry Association, with foreign lenders such as Citigroup Inc. also lowering rates. To put that into perspective, China's small businesses typically face interest payments on about 36.9 trillion yuan of loans every quarter. Stringent requirements and shortlists restrict who can access special loans earmarked by the central bank for virus-related businesses, while local governments and banks have imposed caps on the amounts, according to people familiar with the matter. A debt banker at one of China's largest brokerages said his firm opened a fast lane to ease debt sales by businesses involved in the containment effort, with borrowers required to prove they will use at least 10% of the proceeds to fight the disease. That's of little help to a car dealership. Brigitte, whose firm owes money to dozens of banks, said she has so far only reached an agreement with a handful to extend payment deadlines by 2 months. For now, the company is still paying salaries. China's private sector bond issuance falls below maturities in February. Many of China's businesses were already grasping for lifelines before the virus hit, pummeled by a trade war and lending crackdown that sent economic growth to a 3-decade low last year. At most risk are the labour-intensive catering and restaurant industries, travel agencies, airlines, hotels and shopping malls, according to Lian Rating. Yang, a property manager of a 7-story mall in Shanghai, says a tenant who runs a 150-room hotel that's usually busy has called asking for a month's rent waiver after business dried up. She expects the massage parlour that rents space in the mall is also struggling and is open to extending some help. A deputy financing director at a small developer in central Anhui province said his firm is even being denied loans under existing credit lines. A drop in sales has hurt the company's credit profile, and a dearth of new projects means there's no collateral to put up. Without access to credit, the business can survive for about 4 months, or maybe longer if some payments can be delayed, he said. Banks are hardly any better off themselves. Many are undercapitalized and on the ropes after 2 years of record debt defaults. Rating firm S&P Global has estimated that a prolonged emergency could cause the banking system's bad loan ratio to more than triple to about 6.3%, amounting to an increase of 5.6 trillion yuan. Fu Hai, owner of My KTV, a chain of 100 karaoke bars across China, took to the nation's premier outlet of discontent, social media platform WeChat, to voice his despair. KTV's bars have been closed by the government because of the virus, choking off its cash flow. The special loans from the authorities will be of little help, and no bank will provide a loan without enough collateral and cash flow, he said on his official WeChat account earlier this month. Vug couldn't be reached for a direct comment, but on WeChat he gave himself 2 months before he has to shut his business. End of article. Now this is undoubtedly worrying, and there appears, at least for now, little optimism that things will improve. With the virus spreading to other countries throughout the world, we may very well see those countries begin to suffer a similar fate. It is ironic, is it not, that as the US enters an election year, where the current president is reliant on a successful economy to ensure his re-election, and who has gone through personal political pain, as well as American industry going through considerable economic pain, in order to force other countries to the negotiating table, and appears to have had of late some success in this strategy. What a shame and tragedy if all of this hard work, sweat, blood and tears ends up to no avail, and the world economies collapse anyway. As long-serving bankers, we have a pretty good idea how effective central banks can actually be in delaying an economic crisis, especially when working together. However, no matter how effective, capable, or ingenious these bankers may be, and we know and accept that most people think they aren't anyway, but even assuming the proposition that they are, even these skills and attributes will be insufficient if the world fails to contain this contagion. Our advice, for what it is worth, is to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and ensure that you have all the tools of protection to hand. As Greg has frequently stated on our Richard and Greg channel, this is no way near the end, and we heartily recommend that perhaps every couple of days you go to that channel, as it is there we will be giving a regular update on what may actually prove to be the major undermining force of the world's economy. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel, remembering to press the bell sign so that you are notified of our videos as and when they are published. And also please visit the links to our other 2 channels in the description box below. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.